The truth. Brought to you. This is Free Speech in Medicine Hat. Now, just about to prove a point. I'm writing the truth is a matter of opinion, even if it's a lie. And I will prove at the heart of this post. But I'm using my fire stick to do this, and it's not that fast, so I shouldn't miss any words because I have problems when I type with my dyslexia. I used to use voice text, but it seems that these people with the opinion that, the strong opinion, the one that outlives the truth, or outstands, or outshines, or which is basically just a lie. Heart of this post. Now, I taped this because, like most things, if it's the truth, it doesn't necessarily get told. It is more of a patterned opinion, and whose opinion is more specifically, I guess. It's like my opinion is a scary thing to these people, because half of them know I'm right. The other half are trying to hide it. Like the Viner Center, that is a big lie. See, what it is part of the whole problem. Like, space, where's the T? Now, it's very tedious to do this and to know that it's going to be like they say, I had the rules of this thing, right? And all I said on, didn't say I agree with the rules, I said I tell the truth. And they let me in, so I think that should be enough. First off, my name's Jerry Luke Craig, or at least that's how I was born anyways. Now it's Jerry Luke Craig Viner. Did I do anything legally to get that name? No, I did not. I just claimed it. Am I his son? Yes, I am. And everybody knows that, though. Don't they? And shit. Hard to talk and type at the same time. But I'm gonna try. Because I keep trying. I keep doing what I believe my father would expect. Like, it's one thing, I never really found out for sure that I was his son. And I don't know where I found out first. Like, when I did that hit of acid to help with the memory, you might think it's kind of weird, but if you realized how loaded I was and the video I took, how coherent it is, then obviously something doesn't make sense. How can a person be that loaded and make that much sense? Well, number one, I didn't get loaded to get high. I got loaded to get some, I don't know, some answers, man. When I was 19, I would just come out of this really, really seriously fucked up foster home. And, if it was a matter of me being the problem, believe me, I would have gave up a long time ago, but it wasn't for me. Now I'm just about ready to write center. And, you know, I've been putting down on most forms that I fill out, applications for stuff. My business is outreach. That's right. Because my dad believed in that sort of thing, you know? The guy that actually dedicated this property to Medicine Hat on the day of my birth. Yeah, he never donated it. Of course he never did, because this property was the strength of his whole regime. I don't know if regime's a good word, but like the Viner Center, it was. And I got a question for you. If something is set up in a will, you know, like how the city could use and the rules that why they could use it. Now, when we find out that the reason that they're not using it the way it's supposed to, we have to ask ourselves why and how, right? Like the Viner Center, it was never donated. Never, 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 no. But it was stolen. Well, that's the only way I can think of calling it. Because even if the city never knew, well, the city had to know. See, they were the ones that foreclosed on it, eh? That's right. The richest Jewish man in all of Canada had his pride and joy had it stolen by the city he was mayor of for the majority. Actually, he was the longest running mayor that never broke the law. Our other one, he was a real prize. He was the example of what this city is right now. But and I'm not even gonna get into that. But I am gonna get into one simple fact, and I said that this post, I will prove that this whole group are a bunch of liars. Well, maybe not liars, but they sure don't want to know the truth. And you don't fucking say freedom of speech. Last time I got into a freedom of speech was when I just got ridiculed. Oh, they said I was a crackhead. Can you believe that? And when they didn't say crackhead, they just put a pipe on my post. You know? Like, really? That's just so poetic, right? What do you think I'm doing? Smoking in a bong or something? But life goes on, right? Life goes on, we go from there, and then what happens? Oh, I don't know. Somebody comes along and lies about stuff. Like, you realize when I squatted on that property, right? You know, I squatted. I said it was Harry Bider's son. And the news didn't even cover it. Nope, didn't cover it. You know why they didn't cover it? Because they already knew. Yeah, they knew that I was the son, but because they were covered up, what really went down, they never really reported it or anything. It was just one big lie after another. Like, can you imagine? Like, right in the news, they, on the day of my birth, Harry, dedicated the very property where, this Viner Center is built. He dedicated it, and with it he said he was giving the greatest gift he could give to Medicine Hat. And everybody thought that it was the Viner Center. Yeah, that's pretty nice, right? But you know, there was more than that. There's way more. And the only reason that they did this and the city took ownership of it is to cover up what it was in there. Because they have an agenda. And it's a serious agenda. Like, who's to say? Qu'est-ce que c'est? No, who's to say? Like, did you know that when I was arrested, I squatted on that property, right? And like I said, the Medicine News wouldn't cover it. Well, there's a good reason for that. The same reason that when I had actually figured all this stuff out and I confronted Keith Lynn of the Royal, everybody thought he owned the Royal. Truth of the matter was, he was the manager. Yep. Oh. And to think that fucking 2 days after I confronted him, he sold it. You can believe that? 2 days. Oh, you're gonna say he was gonna sell it before. Yeah, right. You should have seen how mad he got. Oh. That was right. That was right before they sent Kylo after me. Ex-police chief, Don Kylo. Yeah, I think he was the boot of this Kabbalah. Well, he got his first claim to fame when him and Pulaski did the armed robbery, right? Of the when they stashed the money at the police department. But that's another story, right? But you know, it's never as we think. I find that a lot. Say, never. Excuse me. Was never okay. I wrote prove it like the Viner Center. It was never donated. Never. You know, and the reason I'm doing this is because I usually use voice to text, right? Because I'm dyslexic and writing is a problem. Being slow like this, I should be able to keep up to it. You know what it's supposed to be. Never do, you know, and it was never donated, but it was. Oh, wait a minute. It was donated. It wasn't. It was never donated, right? That's right. Right. Okay. They and the reason they hid this is because the Viner Center was the lock on all that Harry had left for me, all of it, and it would have stopped and they would have known who his son was and the whole bit, because it all revolves around what's called the Davidic covenant, you see. Now, that's just a fancy term that God made a promise to somebody. Well, he made a promise to David, Davidic, right? Got it. And he said, well, it was actually an answer to David's, when he said, will my kingdom last forever? Because he was so zealous for God. You know, he loved God. He showed God that he would do anything for him, you know. But that ended with Saul. Even though Saul was the smartest, powerfulest kingdom, he ended up marrying a witch, I guess. She was more so. She was into the black arts and stuff, you know. And what had happened was his kingdom seen the writing on the wall. You know? Penne. Yeah. In other words, you know, they were serious problems. And when that fell, and then Israel went into slavery, and this slavery lasted for a long time. Up until the time that Moses come along. You remember Moses? All those movies, and then, you know, and he led this people out of bondage. And they started this 40 years in the wilderness thing. And to be truthful, it was a lot more than 40 years. Because I know what 40 years are. Because since this has been going on for the last 40 years, and that's the thing about it, it's just about over, right? And it's just about over. Like even today, May 9th, is a special day. You know that? Yeah. And I think something big's going to happen today. Maybe somebody will realize it from this post. Maybe that's it. We can hope, right? You know, that, but what it was, you see, everything that Dad had left was under conditions. And everything was held together by this property. And those conditions stopped my sister from having any control. Because the actual person named in Dad's will, besides Mayor's for 3 months, when before I was 18 and when the thing was written by Reg Bolton, right? Pritchard and Lerner. I was the only one that had authority. But rather than tell me that who I was and let the cat out of the bag and watch me destroy everything because I owned everything, or that's what they thought, they basically hid it from me. Mrs. Mayor Ellis had said my father was Murray Leonard, and I am so glad that was a lie. Do you know who Murray Leonard is? You probably know where his ex or his brother-in-law or his wife. They're both pretty prominent people in this city. His wife does the rodeo queens, right? No, she doesn't actually do them. She makes them. She advertises, runs the campaigns, you know. And his brother-in-law, he just manipulates the law. He's a Court of Queen's Bench judge, yeah. You're going to hear a lot about these Court of Queen Bench judges and how one seems to be the one they use all the time when they want something done that's, well, you'll see. Like for instance, this here. I would imagine that it was done in Court of Queen's Bench, and I wouldn't be surprised if it has Don Maclean on it. Now that would make some serious sense in my head. But you never know. Or I could be wrong. There could be two judges. There could be Don Maclean, and there could be another one that's actually Murray Leonard's brother-in-law or his wife's brother. But, you know, something's telling me I'm going to find out that's not friggin' true. Because this Don Maclean, or whoever, who's ever the brother-in-law of Murray Leonard, he's been perverting the law in Medicine Hat for a long time. Because I remember back when he kidnapped my mom, and he finished raping her, took her out to the truck, put her in the truck. I come home and he takes off with her in the truck. Yeah, no shit. I end up I was working for Chick's Lake Delivery way back then. And I followed him. I really followed him, boy. I was really good. I was prepared to do him some harm. So maybe it's a good thing I did. You know, it's a bad thing for him I didn't, because that would have looked better and it wouldn't have screwed up all the cops that got involved. But, you know, when I was chasing him, he was in a red Chevy half-ton, probably an 81. And, yeah. So, okay, let's see. We'll get to that back. We'll get back to that. Okay, the city never donated the Liner Center to the city of Medicine Hat. In fact, it stole it. Now, I don't think it was a joint effort. See, the only way to corrupt or destroy Dad's wishes, they had to take this key piece of property out of the equation. Now, this piece was never ever subdivided. Nope, nope, nope. I believe it was tied to the Dad's allowing them to use Lions Park and Strathcona, Police Point, all the stuff that was still connected in the original sections. Oh, and don't forget the oil underneath too. You know, so that's why you need to watch that video of me on acid. I explain everything pretty good. And if you really want to cut me around or like make fun of me or whatever, try that. Go listen to it. I tell you right now, I was loaded on acid. You should be able to make me look like a bad guy if you try. You know, it's a little bit like the whole armed robbery, that drummed up charge. You remember that? Yeah, that was pretty funny, isn't it? And you know, do you realize that armed robbery was where they threw out the will in secrecy? Yeah, that's right. And it's only the one judge, and guess which judge? Don Maclean. Yeah. And did you know that when I was at foster home, Wilf and Alice Mares, they couldn't do nothing. One time, Barry Godley, and he's the one that eventually told me all the stuff because he was so disgusted at the way the system was. He could not believe it. And he said it was nothing but masons and thieves. That's a little bit like gypsies, tramps, and thieves. No, I know. In fact, it was donated to, in fact, it was stolen. Yep, I'll just say stolen. Louder, louder, louder. Stolen. They stole it. Yeah, they did. Who stole it? Who stole it? Well, the first person in our little conspiracy is the guy that was originally trying to sell the property for my sister, who had no authority, even though she's an old and everybody knew she was. But how come there's no will with her name on it? Because she's female. You know that? Female. But that's not the real reason. The real reason was everything that Dad left behind, it was for me. Because he said I was the next, or the promise that was made to David. That's why all these attempts on my life don't work. And that, like, remember I said that Don Kylo was the boot? Well, when he actually was going to try to boot me out of my, my home that I paid rent for, and he just basically wanted me to leave town. Like, they just don't want me around because, well, as long as I'm here, there's a chance of me finding out what's going on, and sure as heck, I did. In fact, when I did a bluff a while back, and it was kind of weird what it caused. Like, David Carter and his partner, I think it's Siobhan, whatever, they were over at their place across from the courthouse, eh? And when I was going to been charged with trespassing, I was making sure I wouldn't miss my court date, right? But little did I know that everything revolved around that property, as I'm telling you right now, right? It was not donated, it was stolen. And the fact is, it was stolen. Got it? Stolen. Yes, stolen. You believe it? Okay. Now, when I got arrested for not protesting, but squatting on Dad's property, that was donated. That wasn't donated. Yeah. It was stolen. It was stolen. But the funny part was, see, I went to Mayor's foster home from 14 to 18. 14 to 16, they beat the shit out of me. But from 16 to 18, I beat those kids just like I was supposed to, and I really had a problem with it. There's no laughing matter there, boys and girls. And if it wasn't for God give me direction, when I was turning 18, I asked him, I said, can I leave this home? Can I go out into the world? Can I learn what I need to learn so that in the end, or in that time when I'm needed, when you call me, Lord, that I'll be ready. And that's what I did. But I didn't know that everything was revolved around me in that foster home, that I was the reason that Barry Godley was telling me, and I remember this because I was actually dusting weeds in the big room that we had at the end of the house. We had at Mayor's, one where Stubers lived now, the one they sold right after they started to get land through this. Well, but yeah. So what I'm trying to do up here is, it was stolen by my sister. Should I put half sister? She's only a half. Alright, half sister. You see, in order for anything to happen, like, you know what the chances are of a property going broke when another property in the will is the credit union bank? Isn't that pretty strange? But that's part of the problem, because my sister, my half sister, went to the managers, and they knew everything, because in fact Mayors made my aunt sign over $5,000 that they put in trust, and that's still sitting there too. I never got that back either. And I'm going to go after that, and I'm going to go after the bank too, because the manager stopped making payments on the property that kept everything in place. So that means that by his illegal act, he sabotaged for my sister and Pete Vanderham and Jack Austin and Ted Grimm. They all knew, right? And oh, of course, Frank O'Connell, he did the paperwork. And if you'll notice, he's nowhere to be found now, right? Yeah. They got rid of him too. Yep. Just like my sister. Oh, I think I got a mistake here. Yeah, sister. Um, and that's a funny thing. You want coincidences? Like coincidences, like I think that coincidences are the easiest way to find out the truth, because I found that every coincidence seems to have an interesting story. Like, do you know that when uh, Barry Godley, back in that room at the front of the house, told Mrs. Mayor, you're gonna have to stop. You're gonna have to stop beating those kids. They're going to school with bruises, and we're starting to get complaints. And she looked at him in her way. This sweet little old lady. My God, she'd drop a bull. She'd drop a bull with a 2x4 or kill a pig with a hammer. And you wouldn't say she's defenseless. And she used to beat us kids. Oh, and freak. She was a freak. But you know what? She is half-ass smart, pretty good at second guessing. And I think I actually learned something from her. Because, that's just the way life is, right? You learn no matter what. By my half-sister, her husband at the time, who happens to be the guy that got Don Maclean to throw out the will. And, but there's more to it. See, he said to have the will thrown out, like on the surface, this was their, I don't know, their reasoning, okay? He said that Harry Viner having the son, which was the, basically the gist of that, was the senile wishes of a crazy old man. Well, if it was the senile wishes of a crazy old man, why did his sister have to convince the bank to stop payments? Because this property would make sure that you could never do that. If this would have stayed in place, and if we put it back to where it was, and we look at the paperwork that's involved with this, it'll send a whole bunch of people to jail. It will fuel my $400 billion lawsuit, and it will basically kick everybody out of that subdivision that I squatted and they built. And that's where I'm going to live, in my house that was brought in the date of my birth from Schuler, where I was going to get that property from Wilf and Alice Mayer. Now, that stuff all fixed out. That's why when I squatted on the property, that they needed to get me off. In fact, the police were so livid that I couldn't stay there, because in fact I was across the street from the very house that was mine, or was going to be mine. The one for foreign, what is it? I'll figure it out right now. I'll even draw you a picture, and no, I won't do that. But what I will do is I will show you. It was 974th Street. What the heck's going on, man? What the heck's going on? For some reason, yeah, I'm just trying to get myself organized here. Seeing what's happening and all. Yeah. I was just trying to get some satisfaction, But what I'm doing now is I'm trying to figure out why I don't have my bottom monitor working. And as you'll notice, when I post this on the thing, it'll just disappear. But the point is, I'm definitely okay, multiplied. Yeah, I know.
I go anywhere with you, 'cause you fill my mind, oh you fill my mind. We could build a dream, start something new, let the...
Where did you go? I can't find my... Yeah, that's pretty wild. You know, with when I do stuff like this, you wouldn't believe the weird stuff. That's why I'm taping it, you know? It's like, they just, always. Like, when I can't type very good and then I get voice text, they attack my programs. They send music through, because in hopes that I have to type it out and then I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. It's like, unreal. But it doesn't matter, you know? Because I am going to win in the end, because I'm right. Whether you know it or not, I am right. And today is, of course, Mother's Day or Dad's birthday. Either way you look at it, it's a special day. And 21 years ago today, I got arrested. Yep, 21 years ago today, I got arrested. How do you like that? 21 years ago today. Yeah, I squatted on the property, and I said that I was the son of Harry Viner, and then, you know, eventually I ended up starting a what do you call it? A taxi cab to God. It was my outreach program sort of thing, you know. Just like I'm going to take back the Viner Center and start making some difference in the world here, right here, and that way we'll have really what Dad wanted. That's why I say the Viner Center is Dad's dream. You know? The heart of Dad's dream. And he had rules. He had rules and everything that was set up. But for some reason, they just didn't like me being part of it, I guess. You know? But that's neither here nor there. Because it doesn't matter anymore. It does not matter what you guys in the city think. It doesn't matter anymore. Because you had your choice to have the truth brought out, but you never did. In fact, you guys pretended it didn't exist. You guys looked away. You're like, you know, you were like, I don't know, we don't want to deal with it. You're crazy, Jerry. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, I'm afraid I do. I'm afraid I really do. But